everybody, welcome back. I'm Sammy from Sammy J Stitches. In case you're new, thank you for being here. If you're returning, hi, it's great to see you again. And I know I missed last week. The week before last week, my son got the flu. I think I still managed to record videos because it was, you know, that beginning where they pretty much just sleep. And so I managed a video, but then last week my daughter was sick. Turned out not to be the flu, which I was oddly surprised about. And then he had kind of like a relapse where his fever came back, and I was so exhausted. I didn't stitch hardly any. I just did like my dailies, the focus piece that I do for the month, and I didn't make a video. I was so exhausted. So this week I'm managing to get back. I'm still pretty exhausted, but my house got really clean last week. Like, I was focused scrubbing and I need to do bedding and stuff now that they're both feeling better. So I kind of wanted to do like a January wrap up. Go over what I've done since y'all last saw me. Make sure I have everything I've done since y'all last saw me, and I didn't pull it all, so I may be pulling a couple things while I'm on the video, because yeah. So anyway, sorry. I do have a fabric of the month to show you, and then I kind of want to go over a slight change. I'm going to make something I want to try, so let's get into it. First, I want to go over how January of 2018 went for me, and y'all know from watching my videos that I did pretty well. Now the end of January kind of went, because like I said, the kids were sick, but all in all, the numbers were pretty nice. So, here we go. I had, in January, I got 36 new Instagram followers, because this was something I decided to track in 2018. 62 new Flosstube followers. Thank you all. In total, I did 22,807 stitches in January. If only that could all be applied to my head, I would be so close to finishing. But that's over all of my projects. 22,807 stitches. Average that out, it's 736 stitches a day. Because there were days where I only did like 150, and there were days where I did 1,600 stitches. So averages out 736 stitches a day. I thought that was pretty good. I had 3 new starts and 3 new finishes, and 3 finishes in January. So that was pretty awesome too. In fact, I may have showed them all in one video. I'm not even sure. So that's my numbers for January, and I thought that was my water bucket. Pretty good. So, I normally, like the last couple videos, I've kind of gone over the events for the next week and what I had planned to stitch on them. And when I'm doing that every week, it works out really well. But because it's been 2 weeks since I was last here, and the way that I move things in my calendar, I don't know what events the reason why each of these were picked for those days. So I'm not going to be able to tell you that this time. Sorry. So I do have a particular order, because this is how January went for me. This is all my whips. These are all the X's mean that I worked on them in the previous month. You can see Guardians of Notre Dame was my focus piece. I actually never went back and finished coloring it in. It got worked on every single day. I did pick a new focus piece for February. We will see in a minute. And then let's see, Mini Treasure Hunt bookshelf got worked on. Burstone Dragons, Under the Sea stitch along. Mini Phantom of the Masquerade, Cheshire Cat, which got finished. Loving Cat, Quotes to Live By, Nest is Blessed, Welcome to Easter Tree. We all know how that goes. I need to discuss that. Don't let me forget. Just, if I start to in this video without talking about Easter Tree, you need to go, hey, Sam! Okay. Monopoly, Autumn Wreath, Fox Love, 100 Years, Christmas Rules, Fits for All got finished. Fancy Outhouse, Guardians of Notre Dame. Fairy Tale Lands 2 was a new start, and Noel was a new start and a finish. So everything got worked on last month. Everything. So that is awesome. And then I took this from my tracker section and I moved it to my January finished section. So there's that. So going based on this, since my last video, the first one I worked on was Loving Cat, which I didn't pull out because I didn't have written down on my video notes that I had worked on it. What is the point, Sam, in tracking stuff if you don't do it? So, and that light is gonna kill this, but, oh, maybe not so bad since it's see-through. I didn't get a lot done on this one. I got the edge over here worked on further down and some more of the cat's bottom and her tail. So not a lot done on this one, but she's getting there. Right here, we're about to start like a banner with the saying, all you need is love and a cat, and then that'll be the end. So it's only going to be like that much further. Pretty easy to finish once I could focus on it. I don't know why I didn't that night. Couldn't tell you. But that's how that is. Okay. So then next I worked on Autumn Wreath, which I did have written down. This one I was trying to focus on. I mean, I did a little bit all over. I was watching the latest episode of Grey's Anatomy, I think, while I stitched this, so a little distracted. But I was trying to, because this is the edge of the page, and like right down here somewhere is where kind of we break for the middle of the wreath. So I was trying to get to that point and then start working my way around the circle. So I worked on a lot more of this area, this purple and the darks, and some of it of course carried over because that color, once I finished there, I just kind of continued it over here. You can kind of see, I know my threads are always in the way, I'm so sorry. I worked on some of that orange down there and stuff too, so this is where this is at. So, and this is, I feel like I showed y'all this before, but maybe I didn't. That linen I was talking about that I don't like very much. Maybe it's just because I talked about it, I thought I showed it. But anyways, there's that one. Next, I worked on Monopoly. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold that one till the end because I do work on it multiple times. So, and then of course I focused on Guardians of Notre Dame for the entire month, and then in the beginning of February 1st, we start. I joined I've done it before. It's an event in one of my cross stitch groups called Semi-Sane Stitchers, and we have an event called Choose My Whip, and it happens every other month. I can't remember if it's for 2 weeks or for the entire month. And you get divided into teams, which is not really a competition, it's just an interesting event. You get separated into teams and you choose each other's whips. So since I'm a daily rotator, I would say, and this is a little harder for me this time around because I am kind of planning based on stitch alongs and stuff. But for example, February 1st, the only reason I had picked what I had picked that day was because it falls into the stitch along for, I believe it's Cross Stitch Finish Line. Yeah. The series Killer Stitch Along, in which I pick things that are like my monthly stitch alongs. And so I had chosen Birthstone Dragons. But then, and there was something else, there was another reason on the first that I can't remember now. Oh, Etsy Stitch. One of the cross stitch groups. Oh my goodness. Oh, Semi-Sane Stitchers also has an event called Etsy Stitch. And basically you stitch something you got from Etsy. Well, Birthstone Dragons and Guardians of Notre Dame were both from Ingleside Imaginarium, which is, she's here on Flosstube, but I bought it from her Etsy shop. So they both qualified for both the Etsy Stitch and the series Killer. So then I gave those two as options to my group and said, which one should I stitch tonight? And then the other members of the group vote, and whichever one wins is the one I stitch on. I try and give plenty of time because it seems in my group this time, we got like 3 of us that are night owls and we're up all night, and 3 that are more daytime. So I want to give everybody a chance to vote. But when I decided to go work on it, I pretty much, whatever votes are there, go based on that. So they chose Guardians of Notre Dame. So then, and of course the new piece had just released. So between it being my focus piece last month and it getting worked on February 1st, this is where I'm at. I was able to completely finish, that looks, oh, again, my thread all over the place. Okay, I was able to get pretty far working. I think the most stitches, the calendar that I'm using for the focus piece, the most stitches it'll ask you to do in one day is 150. Over the course of January, it wanted me to do 3,050 stitches. And since this is the one I chose, this one got the 3,050 stitches, which also included him, because I didn't set out a specific date for him. So I feel like that got a good chunk of it done. And then this, so the border and him was all from focusing on it for the month for that group event. And then this was because my group chose it on February 1st. So the second gargoyle got completely done. I love this pink behind them. It is just, I am loving it. So there is Guardians. And I have a really sneaky feeling I'm going to get behind on this year, but I'm going to do my best not to. Because I can easily finish the Guardian in a night, and since I'm only giving it one per month. But once I get to where the border's not already done and I have to work on the border some, I don't know if I'll be able to get both of them done in a night. So I think eventually I'll fall behind a little bit. So that brings me to my focus piece. So we need a new focus piece this month, and I put this one up in the group for them to vote on, and I gave them a day, and I kind of got votes and I kind of didn't. Well, because I gave them like 9 pieces to choose from, and I feel like maybe that was too much. So in the end, what was chosen was Birthstone Dragons. So this one is not getting its own day this month, but it is going to be the focus piece for the month. And when I left it, I only had some of the back stitching like to here on this side. I finished up the back stitching and started on August. So February's calendar, just so you can see. It is less days this month, so obviously less amount that you're going to get done in the month. This month they're choosing to do 2,800 stitches, but at the beginning of the month they kind of threw you really into it. So 150, 125, 175. And in that, I've gotten this. And actually, I don't think I'm done with the 75 from today. I haven't gone back and counted yet the last few stitches that I put in, because I was working on it sitting in my vehicle while my niece and nephews were in their basketball practice. So I was sitting in the car stitching. So then they all like came running out to the car, and I was like, oh, throw this in my bag and let's get going. So there's that. You'll see this one quite a bit this month. And I'm hoping to definitely get August done and maybe a good portion of December. Now remember, I've moved these 3 dragons around, but of course keeping their colors. So then I had to adjust it a little bit. Actually, this is kind of how I did that. This is my notebook where I keep track of, this is, yeah, stitch count. See, this is how I do that. I wrote down all the symbols for August and then their colors. And then I wrote down the symbols that they would that I would swap them with in December's dragon, because I'm using December's dragon in August block. And so now when I'm looking at the pattern and I see this symbol, I know that it's 907. Because if I just looked at my little thing that I keep my threads and stuff in, it would have this symbol and that would get really confusing. So this is my August conversion and then my December conversions down there. So I'm all ready to go, and hopefully this one should be finished. If not by the end of this month, then definitely by next month. Cross my fingers. I hope. So there's that one. I didn't pull my Heaven and Earth design to bring in here and show. Sorry. I am going to try and do a Stitch With Me video tonight, so you'll kind of get to see it there if you watch the Stitch With Me videos. I know that I'm always working on Heaven and Earth designs, but to get a Stitch With Me video while I'm here at home, that's all I work on, because they do not get it nearly as much love as the rest of my stuff, because I work a lot more than I'm at home. So you get what you get, right? You don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Okay, moving on. So that was the 1st of February. The 2nd of February, I did have people vote. I was working on the series killer, so I was like, okay, do I want to do Birthstone Dragons or Under the Sea Stitch Along? This is where it got a little confusing, because I also had the Birthstone Dragons in for the monthly focus. So when they were voting, I was like, are they voting for the monthly focus or the daily? Well, then I remembered Friday is my smalls. So I ended up not voting on, or working on what they voted that night. I moved it to the next night. So, because I finished my Advent Animal last month, I needed to start a new one for this month. And I almost finished it too. I mean, I will definitely finish it when it comes back up next month. And remember, I keep all my threads really messy here. So I started Rudolph the Reindeer. Now, because I have several of these, and I'm not necessarily going in any sort of order right now. I was at first, and it was confusing why I started where I started. I'm not getting into all that. But I don't really have a particular order right now, since I do think I'll be able to finish all of them before December. So I was trying to kind of base it on Stitch Mania's Christmas All Year style. And for February, it was a Christmas tree. And I looked through all of them, and none of them had... Well, I think the giraffe has a Christmas tree, but I've already done her. So with ones I had left, nobody had a Christmas tree. So I picked Rudolph. So that's where I got on him. I just need to kind of give him some legs there. And you do the little snow along the bottom, and then he'll be done. So there's that one. Okay, so that was my Friday small. Then Saturday. Oh, I moved Monopoly from Sundays to Saturdays because February has the Stitch Olympics, and since there's multiple groups doing Stitch Olympics, so I'm doing Stitch Olympics for 3 groups. First is, hold on, let me pull out my calendar because I don't want to confuse myself. Telling you, this thing has become my lifeblood now. Okay. In cross stitch, it's fun. The Stitch Olympics is, and we're kind of doing it for points for our houses, because cross stitch is fun is where the Stitch Watts is. And so they're doing like a stitch count. So at the end of the day, starting on the 8th or the 9th, you'll submit a stitch count at the end of the day. Your team leader will total them all up, submit them to the headmistress. She will decide which house won, and that house will get the point for the day. Because they're trying to keep it really simple to where there's not like tens of thousands of points floating around. It simply finishes are 1 point each, and then the winner for that day on Stitch Olympics is a point. Is the way I understand it. I could be wrong. I'm not one of the house leaders. I don't know. But that's how I am interpreting it. Stitch Mania has the Winter Olympics. And they have something different for each day. And because of that one, I found that Monopoly was not going to work on Sundays anymore. Because I kept wanting to put stuff on Sundays, and then I'm like, oh no, Monopoly's supposed to go there. And I was like, no. So Monopoly got moved to Saturdays. And the third Stitch Olympics is on the blog where I do the Whipocalypse. I got it the first time. Go me. Okay. So in there you choose whether you're going to, and she has really cool names for them and I can't remember what they are. Rotation Relay is the one I chose. So basically I'm going to try and touch all of my projects during the Stitch Olympics. So I'm going to be working on 2 to 3 projects a day, which is a lot for me. Stresses me out a little bit, but I got a couple more Q-snaps coming in the mail, and I think that'll make it a little easier. So I won't be constantly moving projects. I can have like 4 ready. Anyway, that's all me. You don't care. So there's Rotation Relay, which is what I'm doing. There's like the marathon. So you try and stitch on one project through the entire thing. And then there's something about the colors. I don't know if it's the colors of you stitch in your project that you're working on, you stitch the color of the rings or something like that. I didn't choose it, so I didn't really read into it a whole lot. So February is going to be crazy. My water jug just keeps wanting to talk to us. Okay, so with that being said, Monopoly was the next piece I worked on. And that was this last week, so I'm going to actually show it to you now. Remember, we discussed fudging last time. And the fudging has been completed for the most part. And so you'll get to see how that turned out. Which I don't think it's bad. I don't. And I actually got quite a lot done. Look, the entire side is done. I'm just literally, I have to fill in these boxes. And you can see where I didn't even pull out all of what I had stitched because I was like, hey, that can stay. I can stitch around that. Finish filling in the bulb, and then it'll be time to work on the middle. So it is coming along great, guys. And look, you can barely even tell that I had to fudge. If you didn't already know. And luckily, y'all know, but the people who are going to try and buy it in an auction have no idea. And trust me, they will not be looking that close because they're family and they just love the fact that I made it. Yeah. Oh man, you should have seen the quilts that went last year. They were so awesome. I auctioned off some of my cross stitch last year too, but it was small because it was kind of a last minute, hey, this is in my, finished but not fully finished bag. And so I threw it in a frame real quick and auctioned it off. And the person who got it was super excited to get it. So that made me feel really good. And I'm like, okay, what can I do for next year? Hence the Monopoly board was born. Okay. So Monopoly. Then Sunday I worked on Under the Sea. Because that's what they had voted for. But then I had to move it because Friday is smalls. Hi, JJ. Okay. I should have let them pick which. By the time I remembered that it had to be one of my advent animals based on my rotation, my plan, I could have let them vote on which animal, because I have like 13 of them left to do or something like that. But I might not have gotten any votes because it was late and I wanted to get working on it. So I just kind of went with it at that point. Okay, next. Under the sea. Can you tell I'm running a marathon in my head right now? I took a nap before I made this video. That could be it. And then I took a shower and I just like threw the top of it up, and then the rest of it decided to curl on. I really like the way it turned out, and I didn't do anything but anything. Okay. This is where I'm at. When I last left you, he was done, but I just had to do the back stitching on him, finish the back stitching here and on this little fishy, and then I was done. So I got that finished up. Although his tail looks a little, I don't really like the way that just kind of disappears there. But maybe they did that on purpose. So then I moved over here, and I've gotten started on him. My needle minder is right in the way. Okay. And I got a pretty good chunk done. This reminds me. Was it last night I was working on this, or the night before? It was not last night. Anyway, okay. He's reminding me of something and I cannot, like, anyway. And that's the thing, like, especially with those of us that watch stuff or listen to books or whatever while we're stitching. Do you ever look at your stitching and go, oh yeah, that reminds me of that part of that TV show that I was watching at that point, or the book that I was listening to? Mine do that all the time. So, just gotta finish up the turtle, and whatever else is, well, I think it's just like coral and seaweed and stuff, and then moving on. This is September, then I'll have October, November, December. It's gonna take a couple more months for this one to get finished, but it will be finished this year. I guarantee it. Okay. It's gonna make me eat my words. So then, I forgot what it was. Making a mess here. I'm trying to remember why I chose this project. I don't remember. But anyways, I decided to finish up last night. I was going to finish Fancy Outhouse. This is Fancy Garden Shed by Michael Powell. But Michelle and Mishdish, however you say her name, the other Michelle, decided to do it as an outhouse. They got Michael Powell's elves to rechart the window into one of those little half moon things that you see on an outhouse. And they did a stitch along for this in December. Of course, it's a quick stitch, so I could have finished it in like 2 or 3 days, but since I only really work on anything for one day, it took me 3 months. Literally all I had left was like half of the pictures back stitching, and I was done. So I finished this on Monday night, and then I actually had to I had to pull out another project Tuesday morning to work on for the rest of the evening before I got off. So it's all done. My first finish for February. So then I went back to my group and I said, okay, so then the rest of my month is planned out pretty detailed because of the events. And so everything found its place and didn't really have any wiggle room when it came to, I need to pull something to work on now. So what I decided was I would choose between something that's supposed to come later in the month to work on for half a night, and then it would get worked on again on its day, because I couldn't really take any of these. I didn't really have anything to fill those spots if I took it away completely. So I let them vote between, let's see, which 3 did I pick? Fairy Tale Lands 2, Quotes to Live By, and Foxglove, Minora Corbett. And when I made this decision, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let them vote, because since I'm having to pull it from another part of the rotation, but what I really wanted to work on was quotes to live by, because Michelle Bendy Stitchy has been working on hers and posting it constantly on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm gonna get back to mine. Well, guess what my friends voted on? It was awesome. So I got to pull out my quotes to live by, which will come back up later this month, because in Cross Stitch It's Fun, they have a featured designer every month, and it is Stitchropia this month, and this is the only thing I have by her currently active going. And it also fit, I think it fit Thursday the 15th. No, it was just because it was the featured designer. So I finished this banner completely. I just have a few down there to get the whole border of that done, and then I got to start on the stuff that comes over here, and I need to go back through and do the back stitching that is in there. But the way I had it in the Q-snap, I wasn't gonna be able to do the full thing, so I was like, I'll just come down here, and I started working on Already Taken. So that's where I got it. Now, this one is my last whip, so we're done with whips, but it brings me into something else I wanted to talk to y'all about. I used to do a, what did I call it? It was a segment. It was like my favorite things, or I don't remember. It was something about basically each week I would talk about a Flosstuber and a TV show and a movie, and I kind of got away from it. But I was working on this last night when I found a new show. And I can tell you this would have gotten so much more progress if it weren't for this show. Because I would be stitching, and you glance up, watch your show, look down, glance up. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, it was so good. It was so intense. It was really hard to not pay attention to every single thing that was going on, because just when I was like, okay, that was the big thing in this episode and it's just gonna be all drama from here. No, they would come back and do something else that was like, did that really? At episode 2, in the first 2 minutes of the show, literally took my breath away. I was sitting there and I was like, and I couldn't move. And then once I could finally breathe again, I was texting my husband. I'm like, you have got to watch this show. 2 minutes in and I can't even breathe. It is called, I believe it's on Fox. It's called 911. Literally like 9-1-1. And it's like, it's got this 911 operator that you're kind of going through her story, and these firefighters and this cop, and like how all of them kind of work together, and then they each have their own things, and they're dealing with these intense situations. And I didn't realize till I started watching this show, I was like, how crazy does it have to be a 911 operator? Like, could you imagine some of the phone calls you get, some of the things that you're gonna hear while you're doing this job? It is an amazing show, and I'm telling you, if you have not watched it, it is on Hulu. It is live, like, I think it comes on tomorrow night. There's 5 episodes out. The 6th episode comes out tomorrow. It is amazing. Stop what you are doing. Go watch. You can even pause me. Go watch the first episode. I guarantee you won't be back until you finish all 5. Because I tried to stop and go to one of my other shows, but the way they would leave each episode, I'm like, is there another one? Is there another one? Oh, good. There's another one. I can breathe again. Okay. So, my favorite, or how is it Candy puts it? Oh, how does she put it? The things I'm all into. That is what I am all into right now. 911, the TV show. I've actually had a few new TV shows lately that I really like. I'm a Grey's hardcore Grace fan. I am amazed. I literally watched it since the very first episode. I was in high school, and because my mom was really into the whole medical dramas, and so she started watching it from the beginning. I would watch it with her. It is the one show my husband and I both make sure we can sit down and watch together. Been in love with it forever. It's actually going to get a Fire spinoff here coming up. I watch a ton of different TV shows. I am very non-picky. I have tried shows because y'all have suggested them, like Outlander. It was amazing. I'm not caught up because the most recent season I haven't had a chance to watch. Game of Thrones. I never watched it until Flosstube, and then I was absolutely in love with it, and oh my goodness, I can't wait to believe we have to wait a whole nother year for the final season, but you know. So if you have a really awesome show that you just think is great, comment below, and I will watch a couple episodes, see if I like it, or if I already watch it, I'll let you know. So that's awesome. And that was random out of the blue. It was not planned for me to talk about. The one thing I got in the mail this week is my fabric of the month from Under the Sea Fabrics. This is Winter Sunset. I'm going to let you see the whole piece and then I'll fold it in half so you can see with better detail. Look at that. I don't know if this is blue or purple or what, but it looks to me like cotton candy. Like the pink and blue cotton candy just got all swirled together. I love it. It's nice and subtle, but very pretty. My husband really liked it too. He was there when I got it from the mailbox. So that's Winter Sunset in 28 Count Lugana by Under the Sea Fabrics. And it's so funny because you're like, ooh, that's a blue. Ooh, that's a pink. It's all in the way that it's folded. Okay, so there's that. Let me go back to my notes. Oh, I'm going to kind of go over the plans for this coming up week. So today is technically Wednesday the 7th, but that's only because I started recording after midnight. I didn't get to stitch it all. Well, I mean, I got to stitch on Burstone. I didn't get to stitch on my Haid yesterday. But anyway, I'll be working on my Phantom of the Masquerade still, because I haven't gotten to put a whole lot of love into that yet. After I finish this video for my Stitch With Me video, and then also tomorrow night, on the 8th, there's a cross stitch finish line event called Kitted Up. So, and I need to be kitting up some smalls, because with me doing a small every Friday, and most of the time finishing it the same night, I definitely need to have some already planned, because I ended up not doing my Halloween one last month because I didn't have anything ready to go. So, and I'll probably still stitch something that night, but I haven't decided what. I'll probably let my group vote. So we'll see. Friday the 9th. This is where I'm gonna start splitting my nights, because, and I know you've probably heard this 1,000 times if you've watched my videos. I work 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So what I'm going to do is like Friday the 9th from midnight to 6 a.m. Well, really like 5 a.m. because I have to like clean up before my relief gets there. Those first 5 hours, I'm going to work on my small. And then when I get to work that evening, so from 6 to midnight, I'll be working on first my focus piece and getting its 100 stitches or whatever banged out. And then whatever piece I've picked for the Stitch Olympics. And that's only if the day's required. Something like Monopoly is required on Sundays or Saturdays. But anyways, there's a chance you may see a lot of projects next week. So on the 9th, for Stitch Olympics, for Stitch Mania, it's a new or recent start. I want to do a new start because I have several things kitted up and I want them in my rotation. So I'm using it the excuse to start something new. And it will either be one of two things, because again, I'm going to let my group vote on it. It will either be the House of Stark banner from an Etsy store. I don't remember which one, I'm sorry. Or the Legendary Creatures Stitch Along from Clouds Factory. Whichever one does not get started on the 9th will get started later in the month. But I'm not getting that far. I'm not going that far in all this, so you'll see next time. The 10th is Saturday, so I will work on Monopoly from midnight to 6, 5, whatever. And then when I get to work, do my focus piece, which is Burstone Dragons, and then I'm pulling out a winter-themed project, which is Welcome to Christmas, which is that one with the fence, and it's gonna say Welcome to the Jameses. Yeah, you'll see. I'm not gonna pull all. I'm sorry, the soda is getting to me. I'm not gonna pull each of them out and show them to you before the week starts, but I will show them to you once I've done them. But this gives you an idea of what to expect next video. The 11th is Soda Stitch. And of course I have my Fairy Tale Lands too, so that I will be working on that on Sunday. Monday the 12th is Animal. So I'll be pulling out Love and Cat again. And for Cross Stitch Finish Line, they have an event going on from, it doesn't say, oh, I guess it's just on the 12th, called Something You Love. And I love cats, plus it's called Love and Cat. And it says all you need is love and a cat. So it really fit both themes so well. It was the absolute best choice for that. On the 13th, which is probably when you'll see me again, I'm hoping... Okay, this is where it gets a little complicated. I think I'm going to be working on one of my Heaven and Earth designs. I haven't decided if I'm going to go ahead and switch to fit in with one of these themes, or if I'm just going to, I don't know. So it'll be one of my Heaven and Earth designs, and then of course then I'll be back for another video. Not exactly. I'll explain that in a minute. So that's kind of an idea of what's coming up in the next week. Back to my notes. Should really just pull these out. Okay, my last thing, and then I will let y'all go because I've already kept you for 45 minutes, and I'm pretty sure half of that was rambling, if not a little bit more. So this next week I'm going to change things up a little bit. I work on plenty, I think, to make a video, because obviously I'm at 43 minutes. But I don't want anybody to get bored. Plus, I want to experience stuff a little bit differently. Especially because, like, last week, this would have been great last week when I was too tired to sit here and make a video for y'all. Because that's really all it was. I could have found the time, even though my kid was sick. It was just, I was so exhausted. I didn't even want to get up and take a shower so that I looked presentable for y'all. So what I'm going to do is every other week, I'm going to do it vlog style. Like, what's my favorite one? Mischievous Stitches, I think. Is that her? No, Shadow Stitching. Something like, I feel bad. I want to let y'all know who it is for real. So if y'all are interested. I know there are several that do it, but she's the one that I watch most religiously, I guess. Most commonly, that does vlogs and not regular videos. But people have been putting out a lot of videos this week. Yes, Stitching Shadows. Most of hers are vlog form. And she'll be like, here's what I'm going to stitch on tonight. See you in a little bit. And then she'll come back, look at what my cat's doing. And then see in a little bit. And then she'll come back and show us where she stopped for the night. And so I'm going to try that this coming up week. So next Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I get it pieced together, you will see more of like a vlog format, which means it may have more than just stitchy stuff in it if there's anything interesting going on. And then the next week I'll do like a recap where you'll see the stuff you saw in the vlog. You'll see the stuff that I worked on in between. So, and I haven't decided if I'm going to vlog the week that I would make a video too. And so basically every other week you're getting 2 weeks worth of that information. I don't know. I hadn't decided. So we're going to see how this goes. But I wanted to try something a little different, and we'll see what we think. Oh, you did it, didn't you? You said, Sam, Easter tree, right? I heard you, because I didn't forget. Okay, so here is what happened with the Easter tree. I appreciate all of your comments, and every single person supported the idea of getting rid of the fudging thing. That is... part of me just can't let go yet. So currently, it is UFO'd, but it is my stitching alternate. If I get to a point where I don't have anything else to work on, I know. Stop laughing. Okay, so if I get to the point where I've worked on all my projects and there's a spare moment, Easter tree can come back out. Or if the project I'm working on that night just isn't doing it for me, Easter tree may come out. As of right now, I am not that desperate. It's in timeout this month, I think, completely. And I may try and figure out a new way to work on it. Maybe not parking threads, which is going to get really tedious because there's so many color changes. Or maybe I'll grid it so that I can carry like cross country a page. I may find a way that I can revamp it so that I like it again, because I have done quite a bit of work. I do like the pattern, but I was just so frustrated with it. So right now it is a stitchy alternate in UFO timeout. Okay? I thought y'all needed to know that decision was made. And that all of y'all were so supportive in my fudging of Monopoly. It was going to happen either way, but it's always nice when everybody else is going, do it, do it, do it. So, that y'all are my cheer squad. Because I say something like this to my husband and he's going, whatever you want. My phone's going crazy. So, that is it for me this week. I will get all this mess kind of put up because I probably won't tonight. Probably do it tomorrow. And then do a stitch with me video, get some laundry and some dishes done so that I can do a lot of stitching tomorrow. That is the plan. We'll see. Anyways, I will see y'all next time, guys. Y'all have a great week. Happy stitching.